Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, Dealing with the Mood Swings of Certain Individuals. We live in a world where emotions are not just a part of life. They often dominate it. People's moods seem to shift like the wind, frequently without much conscious control. These changes aren't always deliberate or even fully understood by the people experiencing them. For some, these mood swings are rooted in serious mental health conditions, such as bipolar disorder, which is a clinically recognized and complex issue. Those who are diagnosed often struggle with intense highs and lows that they cannot simply switch off. It's crucial to recognize and respect the challenges these individuals face. However, not everyone who exhibits erratic behavior has a diagnosis or a medical reason for their actions. There are many people who display these patterns simply because they allow themselves to. This distinction is important because, regardless of whether someone has a mental health condition, there is often more personal control involved than people care to admit. Human beings have an incredible capacity for self-regulation, even in the face of intense emotions. Consider this. If I feel like hitting someone out of anger, I have a choice. I can act on that impulse, or I can control myself and refrain. The mere presence of an emotion, no matter how strong, does not compel us to act on it. This applies across the board. Anger, frustration, sadness, jealousy, these are all natural feelings. But what separates a mature individual from someone ruled by their emotions is how they respond to those feelings. True strength lies in mastering your emotional responses, not in denying that emotions exist. It's about practicing self-control and learning to channel your feelings in a productive or at least non-destructive way. This is particularly important for people prone to mood swings because their emotional volatility doesn't just affect them, it affects everyone around them. When someone is constantly shifting between extremes, it creates an environment of tension and instability. Imagine spending time with someone whose mood swings from love to anger to sadness within the span of an hour. At one moment, they're showering you with affection, and the next, they're shouting or crying. Such erratic behavior is exhausting to deal with, and over time, even the most patient and empathetic individuals will feel drained. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, thrive on trust and stability. If you can't predict how someone will behave from one moment to the next, it becomes almost impossible to build that trust. This isn't to say that emotional fluctuations should be completely eliminated or suppressed. That's neither realistic nor healthy. Everyone experiences ups and downs. That's part of being human. But having emotions and being controlled by them are two very different things. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it, especially in a way that harms others. Let's take anger as an example. Anger itself is not inherently bad. In fact, it's a natural and often justified response to certain situations. The problem arises when anger is expressed destructively, through yelling, violence, or spiteful words. On the flip side, anger can be channeled constructively, such as motivating you to stand up for yourself or work toward a positive change. Emotions are tools, and like any tool, they can be used responsibly or recklessly. Unfortunately, many people lack self-control, not because they're incapable, but because they choose not to practice it. It's easier to give in to impulses than to resist them, and this laziness leads to chaos, especially in relationships. For instance, those who date someone with bipolar disorder or severe mood swings often describe the experience as walking on eggshells. You never know what version of the person you're going to get. Will they be loving and kind, or will they lash out unexpectedly? When confronted about this behavior, many people deflect responsibility. They blame external factors, their job, their upbringing, the stress of life, or they use their mental health condition as an excuse. While external stressors and mental health challenges are real and valid, they don't absolve anyone of accountability. The world around us constantly bombards us with influences, from the news to social media to societal pressures. These external stimuli shape our thoughts and emotions, often without us even realizing it. This phenomenon is known as social engineering, where the environment molds how we think and feel. If you think about it, many of the emotions we experience aren't truly ours. They're reactions to the outside world. Recognizing this can be liberating because it means you don't have to be a slave to these feelings. When you feel overwhelmed, instead of reacting impulsively, ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Is this emotion even mine, or am I just reacting to something external? This level of introspection is especially important for those with mood swings. If you don't take the time to question your feelings and understand their origins, you'll always be at their mercy. Worse, you may end up using your emotions as an excuse to mistreat others. This is something I see far too often. People justifying their toxic behavior by hiding behind their mental health diagnosis. Now let me be clear. Mental health conditions like bipolar disorder and autism can make emotional regulation incredibly difficult. They are genuine challenges that require compassion and understanding. But having a mental health issue does not give anyone the right to treat others poorly. Too often, I've seen people lash out, say hurtful things, or behave erratically, only to later blame their condition. This lack of accountability is damaging, not just to their relationships, but also to their own growth. What's particularly telling is that not everyone with these conditions behaves this way. There are countless individuals with bipolar disorder, autism, or other mental health challenges who work tirelessly to manage their emotions and maintain healthy relationships. This proves that it's possible. It might be harder for some, but it's never impossible. If you're dealing with someone who uses their mental health as a shield for bad behavior, it's important to manage your response carefully. Getting angry or trying to argue with them rarely helps. Most likely, they've heard it all before and aren't going to change simply because you pointed it out. Instead, focus on setting boundaries and protecting your own well-being. In some cases, the best option is to distance yourself. Trying to reason with someone who is deeply entrenched in their emotional struggles can feel like hitting a brick wall. They may not have the capacity to see things from your perspective, and continuing to engage with them only drains your energy. If you're in a relationship with someone like this, you need to seriously consider whether the love you feel is worth the challenges you face. That's not to say you should automatically abandon someone with mental health issues. For some people, the rewards of staying outweigh the difficulties, but everyone has their own limits. You need to be honest with yourself about what you can handle and whether the relationship is healthy for you. So in the end, self-control and accountability are the keys to navigating these issues. Whether your emotional challenges come from a mental health condition or external influences, it's your responsibility to manage your actions. Blaming your emotions or your diagnosis for hurting others only perpetuates toxicity. Instead, take the time to reflect, understand your feelings, and make choices that align with your values. This is how we build stronger relationships, healthier lives, and a more compassionate world. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moors October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.